So welcome to the West Midlands Sport Welfare Network Forum, hosted by the sport welfare officers responsible for the area, so all of the active partnerships listed on the screen. We'll talk a little bit more about what they are shortly, but just to give you a flavour, we're the people that are going to host it. You'll notice that we'll be in some of the breakout rooms a little bit later on as well. But welcome, first and foremost, for spending your time with us. It's massively valuable, and hopefully you'll find it useful to see how we can help you in relation to your sports and your patches. In terms of how this will run, so as Shona said, we'll be talking a little bit around 15-20 minutes around who we are, what we do, how the network came to be. And that's the bit that we are recording this evening so that we can share that broader thereafter. Following that, there'll be plenty of opportunity for us to spend time listening to you, because for us, that's the most important part, is to get a feel for what's actually happening on the ground. And you know that better than we do in your respective clubs and environments. So spending the time to get to know what's going well, what could be done better, and essentially what's happening locally within the geographical patches. There should be some opportunity at the end, should you have any particular questions, for us to do a short Q&A as well. Just in terms of Zoom etiquette, I think most of us are well versed through this for those that do it on a day-to-day, but essentially please pop yourself on mute when you're not speaking. There's plenty of opportunity to unmute at the appropriate times, obviously breakouts being one of those. But essentially, if you've got any questions throughout the evening, please just pop it in the chat and we will refer back to that. We've got people monitoring the chat to help us, but thank you for introducing yourselves through that method. Plenty of opportunity to talk in those breakouts as well. And Shona's going to go through a bit about how they will work.
Thanks, Leanna. Yes, so the kind of point of this evening and why we put the kind of majority of the time on those breakouts, because ultimately these spaces are kind of for you guys to connect, and we really want to hear from you guys. Our work will be shaped by the welfare leads kind of in our communities, so it's really important that we're hearing from you what you want, what you need, what are your challenges, what's going really well, so that we can then kind of shape and inform our work as we're working together as a West Midlands cluster. There is a wide variety of communities between, kind of all the way up to Stoke-on-Trent down to kind of Herefordshire and Worcestershire. So every patch is different, and that means that people's approaches will be different, people's opinions will be different, and that's a good thing. That's a really great thing. But we'd ask you to, kind of be respectful if someone has a really different approach than the one that you would take. And we trust that everyone is kind of an expert in their own area. So that's going to be a guiding principle. Whilst we will be talking, kind of best practice, we'll be talking about challenges. Anonymous, we're going to ask people to kind of maintain anonymity for the interests of kind of confidentiality and welfare, and to protect individuals' anonymity. There is no such thing as a silly question. This area of work is new for us, kind of working in the way that we are working as a sport welfare officer network. So all questions are good questions. Please feel free to kind of email them over, pop them in chat, raise your hand and ask them. And just to kind of reiterate that this space is focusing on welfare, safety, safeguarding and wellbeing. We are kind of not the experts on things such as funding, facilities and governance. But if that is kind of a key area for you and some stuff comes up over this time that you'd like to ask about, you can email us afterwards and we can put you in touch with the best people at our respective active partnerships.
So what exactly we'll be covering this evening? So you'll get to meet the team. A few of us have spoken already, but we'll introduce ourselves more formally. We'll talk a little bit around what active partnerships are, what they do, how this role sits within that, a background of essentially how this role came to be. We'll touch upon the White Review, which many people may have heard from British gymnastics. It's great to have people from that sport in the room right now to share some of the transition and the journey that NGB's gone on already. We'll define, I guess, the terms in terms of safeguarding, welfare and wellbeing, because we know that lots of people use them interchangeably. So Liz will explain a little bit around what we're meaning when we use those words, because it's always different on grassroots to performance levels to NGBs, so trying to get some clarity there for where we're going to be offering support. We'll go through what the universal offer is. So looking at essentially what is it that we can do, what is the core of what we can do to support, but also really what do we do in a day to day. So what does that kind of look and feel like in some examples, and Chris will take us through some of that as well. Then there'll be opportunity for you to talk and us to listen and to take some notes around the areas that we think we can add value to what's existing out there. And we'll be signposting to some additional resources and training as well.
So we will shortly make our way around the room just to introduce ourselves, but this is just a quick snapshot of who we are. So if you want to just go around the room, starting off with yourself, Liz.
Hi guys, hope you've had a good day. I'm Liz. I work for Active Black Country. I'm their Sport Welfare Officer and I cover Sandwell, Dudley, Walsall and Wolverhampton.
So I'm Emily. I'm Sport Welfare Lead at Active Herefordshire and Worcestershire, covering both of the counties.
I'm Leah, Sport Welfare Manager for Energise, covering Shropshire, Telford and Wrekin.
I'm Shona, my pronouns are they, them, and I'm the Development Manager for Sports Welfare at Sport Birmingham, and I work very closely with Chris.
Chris, you're on mute.
Apologies. It was always bound to happen to once. Apologies. Yeah, my name's Chris. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm the Sport Welfare Officer for the Birmingham area, covering all the way from the Sutton wards all the way through to Frankley and over to sort of Pipe Hayes areas.
And I'm Liana, Safeguarding and Welfare Advisor at Together Active, based in Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent. And so that's the coverage that we've got so far. You'll notice that Think Active are also listed. They have a sport welfare lead position, which is currently vacant, so looking to appoint shortly. But that gives you a flavour for the kind of areas that we cover. Think Active are Coventry, Solihull and Warwickshire, for those that aren't familiar.
So just to provide you with a little bit of background in terms of what active partnerships are. So some of you may or may not know them formally as county sports partnerships before they transitioned over to become active partnerships. So the Active Partnership National Organisation is the national charity of the Active Partnership Network, funded primarily through Sport England and the National Lottery. We're a network of 43 active partnerships across the country, all locally led, non-profit strategic organisations, essentially existing to tackle inequalities, provide as many different physical activity opportunities as possible, and have sport as a driver for change. The Sport Welfare Network is one of the many programmes that the network oversee as part of Sport England's Uniting the Movement strategy as well.
So just to give you a little bit of a background as to then how the Sport Welfare Network then embeds within the active partnerships. So we have now launched nationally, and that's happened over the last couple of weeks. So other than a couple of active partnerships, we are now fully embedded within the active partnerships nationally. We will reach 63 offices that will make up that network, working closely together internally within our active partnerships, but also working on a national network to drive the effective culture that we are trying to embed within sport cultures, whether that's through clubs or organisations. We are working closely with national governing bodies, trying to support them with the actions that they're trying to make and the direction that they're trying to travel, but also then seeing what we can be doing locally on the ground to try and embed that a little bit more effectively with already initiatives that are happening. So as Leah mentioned, this does contribute towards the Uniting the Movement strategy through Sport England. So this network is one of the areas that Sport England kind of came together with their response to the White Review, which I'm sure many of you are aware, due to unfortunate findings happening within the governing body. There were a number of commitments that Sport England made to try and then reduce the risk of this happening further down the line. One of those being that this network would sit in place to try and work out the best way that we can approach and the best way that we can work together to reduce those. And again, as Leah mentioned, we are funded through Sport England and the National Lottery money. Liz, you're on mute.
So there's always one. There's two on this one. So what do we mean when it comes to safeguarding welfare and well-being? As Leah mentioned earlier, it does depend the definition on whether you're grassroots or higher up. So what we're trying to do is create a consistency with the terms so everyone can make better sense of them. So on this slide are the definitions that we're using from a national level. So safeguarding, the process of protecting children, young people and adults to provide a safe and effective care. This includes procedures designed to prevent harm. Safeguarding isn't just a responsibility of club welfare officers, it's everybody's responsibility within clubs, whether you're the coach, the volunteer, the parent, everyone has a role to play. Wellbeing and welfare are often confused or thought to be the same, and they're slightly different. Welfare in sport is the general health, happiness, safety of a person or group involved in sport, regardless of their age, race, gender, sexuality, or their belief. Well-being in sport is the state of being comfortable, healthy or happy, encompassing physical, emotional, social and psychological aspects of a person's health and quality of life. Where safeguarding, well-being and welfare of participants in clubs is a club's priority, it's also good to remember as club welfare officers your own welfare and well-being too.
So we're just going to touch on what our universal offer is. So this is our offer out to all clubs. So you'll see that it's split into 4 parts in terms of the work that we are able to provide out to you guys within your clubs. So that's split into connect, offer support, enable and raise awareness. So this can look at working with clubs around their safeguarding policies and procedures, managing concerns, looking at safer club cultures, club policies, parental engagement within clubs, and the universal offer is and oversees all of those various objectives. We're really fortunate as well that we've got the support of the Ancraft Trust and Child Protection in Sport Unit who are supporting with this programme and supporting with the network. So in terms of our universal offer, there's various links to training opportunities, club forums that we're able to access on their behalf and deliver. But we're really happy to share our universal offer, and this will be sent out to you in due course.
Yeah, so just want to go through a bit more detail of what a sport welfare officer, what they can do, and what we wouldn't be doing, just to make it sort of clear around that. So we'll start off. Well, the things we can do is provide that additional and local support for the club welfare officers, the club, the committees and the volunteers. We understand that with the club welfare officers, it can be an isolated and a very difficult role. And usually with that, it becomes quite a high retention turnover. So what we want to try and do is build a culture within the club and understand that safeguarding is everyone's responsibilities, not just the safeguarding officer, the club welfare officer. So we want to ensure that that support network, and there's like a holistic approach to ensure that parents, officials, coaches, anyone associated with the club understand and know the sort of the correct routes to report a concern, to sort of where to find that safeguarding support. Other parts are around posting clubs to the right advice and guidance. So if there's a little bit of information they're not too sure what to do with, we can help with that little bit of advice and guidance, and hopefully just be that friendly face, and almost like to reach out and knowing that someone's going to be there to support that process. If you feel that there's any need for any workshops or local training opportunities, that might be safeguarding based, that might be some parent workshops that we can help and support with, then that's something we want to help with, and that only can come from you reaching out to us. If we feel that there's a need and an interest, a high interest in that, we can then put things on and sort of have more frequent sessions like that. We spoke about creating those networks. Again, that might look different in different regions, but essentially we want to ensure that people are better connected, informed, and hopefully overall just safeguarding is paramount at our club levels, in everyone's forefront, ensuring that adults and children and their safety in the sport is sort of our first and foremost thought. And then what we are doing today, we're raising awareness of safeguarding and welfare for the young people and adults at local events. So this might be a forum, it might be a championship meet, it might be a swimming gala, that we can sort of just be there in the sort of lobby areas and just sort of chat with people. Or again, it might be coming down to your clubs and supporting all those different processes. And then the one thing that we don't do is advise or manage concerns. So if you do receive a concern, we don't manage that. That doesn't come through us, but we can support in what the process might be. So that might be going to your national governing body, the club safeguarding policy we'll refer to, whether we need to contact the police and so forth through that. So hopefully that just gives you a little bit more of a insight of how our sport welfare officer is all about.